Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of our podcast. This is Janelle Libot along with my mate,
Mary Mercado.
and we are your hosts for today. But before we start, let me just remind all the listener that this podcast does not tolerate discrimination or make fun of the opinion of every individual who will be guesting this episode.
That's right. So, everyone, don't be afraid to express your opinion on today's topic, okay? This is our safe place. Right, Janelle?
Yes, that's true, Mary. No judging, but just here for loving. Yee! Oh, yeah. So anyway, let's meet all of our guests for today's episode. We have here Donald from Nueva Ecija, Natasha from Bicol, Juliana from Summer, Farida from Iloilo, and of course we have Greenmark from Batangas. Hello, guys.
Wow, we have a lot of guests in here today, and they're from all over the place. So, hello again, everyone. Welcome to this podcast, and I hope you guys are doing fine today. Are you guys doing fine?
I think they are.
Yes.
So, welcome to Manila as well, guys. So where pollutants are everywhere and anywhere. So, by the way, how's life in Manila so far?
As for me, I had a lot of adjustments, but overall, so far, still good.
I also had a wonderful time in Manila. There were so many different restaurants, shops, and entertainment options. Actually, many of those were just located like 3 blocks away from my place. But it is very different from the province. But I can say that it is fun in here.
Mm-hmm. How about the others?
So, as for me, I have a wonderful time here in Manila, enjoying the beauty from city lights, busy people in the streets, and many more. But aside from having a good time, there is also a little inconvenience when it comes to learning how to commute alone. And gosh, the pollution here is no joke. Unlike in summer or my
That is
province,
right.
even in jeepneys, it's kind of cool when the breeze hits your face, which is very different here in Manila, where the air is hot and humid. And I can say that the pollution is greater here than in our province. But so far, my stay here is good, just like what the others say.
That's good. That's good.
So my life here in Manila so far is just fine, and I am also having fun here. But still, I'm looking for the vibe of the province. Like the surroundings are not noisy and not also polluted. But of course, we need kind of experience because this is also for us to be able to grow. We need to leave that comfort zone and of course start a new life.
That's
That is
right.
true.
How about you, Rain?
So far I really enjoy staying here in Manila because everything is just a couple of steps away compared to my province, such as the grocery store, the church, and even the school, which is pretty convenient for a college student. That's why I really enjoy staying here in Manila.
Yeah, so that's good to hear. So, Janelle, tell us what we'll be discussing in today's episode.
Oh, so before I forgot, our agenda for today's episode is just all about our experiences regarding your journey here in Manila and how different it is from the culture in which you guys grew up, as well as talking about what we hate in our culture. I mean, we all have that one thing or part of our culture that we don't really like, right? So we're just gonna talk about it more.
Ooh, and with that, we'll see how different our cultures are from one another as well. Isn't that interesting? We're gonna see how diverse the culture is.
Indeed, Mary, indeed. So, everyone, can somebody share or tell us about life here in Manila so far? Like, the differences you have seen and experienced between here in Manila and when you came from and like your provinces. Because personally, when I was actually from Surigao del Norte and I was raised there by my parents. So we just moved here when I was in my third grade. And as far as I remember, I think it took me like a year to completely get along with the environment here in Manila. So I'm really curious about you guys. Have you guys adjusted already?
For me, for my case, even if I'm just from Taguig, I'm still kind of adjusting here in Manila. How about you, Donald?
So, as a born and raised in province, a 5 hour drive to Manila, I had really difficulty adjusting living in here, as it's new and different to what I grew up. But right now, thankfully, with the people I am with throughout my stay here who really helped me to gauge things, I can say that I somehow already adjusted.
Actually, moving from the province to this place in Manila was not that difficult for me. I was adjusting already to both cultures when my family was traveling back and forth between the province and Manila.
Okay, Manila has a huge difference in our province. I live in Naga City, Camarines, or in Bicol, and I can say that the traffic here in Manila is on another level, guys. I know you know, guys, and I also noticed that people are super busy.
Ooh, same goes for me, commuting and traffic. It
I
is
mean,
really a hassle.
it's always traffic in Manila, right? It's always traffic here.
Right.
Like every time, every hour. So
True.
long continue.
In our province, there are only few traffics that we can experience, but here in Manila, just like you said, everywhere, every place you go, there is traffic. Even riding a bus is hard for me since I am mostly accompanied by my parents, just like what I said earlier, when I am riding one. And since the easy transportation you can ride in my hometown is jeepneys because the malls and establishments are near. It was shocking for me to ride a bus here in Manila once, and when I saw that the passengers are already standing up when they are near their destinations, at first I thought it was just like when you are riding a jeepney where you said, para po when you are near the destination. But eventually I copied them and stood up because I thought that's how things are done here. If I don't get up, I would probably miss or go farther from my destination. And since I am skinny and carrying a heavy bag, when the driver suddenly stops, I was pushed by the other passengers from my back and tripped.
Oh no, I'm so sorry to hear that.
That's so sad. But anyway, so far so good then. Speaking of Manila, we have this culture shock here, which is very weird. So, for example, the attitude, like Manila is so liberated, and well, not exactly liberated compared to other countries, but the way they dress, the way they speak, and some of them even don't have filters. I mean, that is my culture shock. What is your culture shock, guys?
I'm gonna go first. So, well, for me, since growing up, I just basically live here in Metro Manila. So I'm just gonna share my experience when I went to our province. Since in Metro Manila, it's pretty normal or we're already used to wear whatever we want, even if it's kind of revealing, right? So I didn't think of it to be somehow a big deal when we went to our province. So it's in Quezon, by the way. So when I went out to hang out with my cousins, most of the neighboring people are throwing a judgmental look at me, most especially the elders.
Yes, it's always the elders.
It's always them. So even my lolas and titas were asking me to change and wear something else because they claim that I am exposed when I'm just in fact wearing a crop sandal and shorts because it was too hot that time and it's something you would just normally see in Metro Manila. I didn't know that they
That's
were
actually
still that conservative. I'm so sorry. I didn't know that they were that conservative still, and that really shocked me.
In my case, I don't actually say that it's a culture shock, but more so a totally different tradition. So, to give you some background, the province I live in predominantly speak two languages, the Ilocano and Tagalog. So, however, in my case, people were mostly Ilocano, as we live in the northern part of our province, and we actually reside one of the municipalities of the Pangasinan. So with that said, we also have this Ilocano culture, which is really different from others, especially here in Manila. One of which is how we people mourn the deaths of their loved ones. So, in my province, a piece of wood, in which we call it atong, is ignited in front of the home of the deceased and kept burning until the time of the funeral. So, this ceremony serves as an official announcement of death. Money is also buried in the casket to pay to a ferryman who transport the soul to the afterlife. Before the funeral, family members stand watch over the body, weeping and remembering the deceased's good deeds. So before the funeral itself, each of the relatives pays their last respect by kissing the deceased's hand or raising it to his or her forehead.
Wait. Isn't it scary if you guys do that? Like, imagining kissing a deceased hand or like raising the forehead. Isn't that scary?
It is scary at first, but it is a tradition. That's why. So, in addition, extreme care is taken in transporting the body from the house to the church. Any mishap could cause premature death for the attendants. Everyone in the procession to the cemetery was returned to the deceased home by a different route from the one taken there. Upon arrival, they must wash their faces and hands in order, to remove the power of death. We used the leaves of the guava and boiled it in the water. I was able to experience this firsthand when my grandfather died when I was in grade 2, and just recently, my grandmother passed away. And this type of tradition still exists in modern times in our province and neighboring cities. And in contrast here in Manila, with the way they mourn here, it's totally different. They don't do some of that here. They just do what mostly people do.
Okay.
I also have some regarding the culture shock I experienced in Metro Manila. In the province, everything is quite calm and let's say peaceful. But here in Manila, it is so loud.
That's so true.
The noises of other people chatting, neighbors' noises, and other nearby activities. Also, it is relatively remote from the province in terms of commute distance. The traffic distorts the traffic distorts times and space here in Manila.
Oh, that is true. I can actually relate to that, Miss Parida. Like even if it's midnight, already there's still noises and like there's still like loud noises like the honk or whatsoever. And seriously, I just wanna sleep, but I can't. So anyway, Miss Juliana, we can now proceed.
So for my case, I noticed when I arrived here in Manila, the most of the people I know are able to speak English fluently. So when one person speaks with a thick accent, let's say for example, they say good afternoon, ma'am sir, people would automatically assume that you are Bisaya and make fun of how you talk, which I think is offensive and disrespectful on how people speak since at the very first place, there is nothing wrong with being one of them. Also, they base your intellect on how well you spoke the language. And since you're from a province, they would expect that when you talk in English, you would have an accent. Even in movies, they portray Filipinos and make them speak with that kind of pronunciation. You kind of easily tell that the actor is playing a Filipino role based on how they speak. Some people in Manila will get shocked when you say that you grew up in a province yet you are able to speak English fluently. Like, it is unbelievable for them that we are able to speak effortlessly just like that. Like, we also study like you guys in our province. Duh.
So true. I also experienced that a lot of time because I was raised in Mindanao, right? Like what I said, and we really have that thick accent even when like we're speaking Tagalog. And I felt offended that time because my classmate used to bully me or make fun of me. Even now, actually, I still have that little bit of accent. But now, compared to before, I'm proud of it now. I really like it. I like the accent, and yeah.
Wow, like that's really interesting. You all like everything that's been shared. Like that really shows how different we are and how different our culture varies. And also now that we're aware of our cultural backgrounds, we can somehow better understand one another, right?
Yes. it's actually understandable that some people and majority of the elderly people, especially of course in the province, tend to have that kind of mindset. It's because for them, everything that is liberated or like showing only a little bit of your skin or anything that challenge their beliefs is not acceptable. It's like we need to follow their norms or something. Like, we need to do actions or like behavior that are accepted and normal in society. So what might be normal to them is not normal to us or weird to other cities. That is why there are differences when it comes to the culture of every provinces here in the Philippines, right? Because of those norms. However, we must never forget that no matter how different our culture is, even if you're from Nueva Ecija, from Bicol, or whatsoever, we are still Filipinos. If that's by blood or by land.
Well said. That is why it is really important for people from different cultures know to interact like, intercultural communication.
Right. This is actually intercultural communications because we all are from different provinces. We interact and we communicate with each other, which is very essential so that people from different backgrounds will gain insight from one another and, of course, to address stereotypes and such.
Exactly. We need to have an understanding about various cultures to not have any misunderstandings or misinformation. So, anyway, before we end our podcast for today, I would like to ask you one last question since I heard you guys are nursing students in NU. Am I right?
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. So, the question is why is it important to have an intercultural communication like what we are doing right now in terms of connecting with your patients and individuals from different cultural backgrounds?
So, in my case, following completion of my bachelor's degree, I intend to work in foreign countries. A typical Filipino does after their completion of college, where I will undoubtedly encounter individuals from various cultural backgrounds, and as a nurse, I need to be aware of their customs and cultural norms in order to establish, the connection that a nurse and patient should have. Eventually, I'll be able to learn things from these experiences that will probably make it easier for me to adapt to to live, and also I can share the customs and tradition I was raised with here in the Philippines. And all these instances require respect for everything to go well for each other cultures.
Right. I agree with Mr. Donald because just like him, it is also my plan to go abroad once my education is finished and I get to have few experiences from my work. Knowing different cultures and being open minded and accepting that each country or each one of us has differences is very important to be able to understand and respect one another.
Oh, and yes, that's it. Thank you guys for accepting our invitation here and be part of this episode. I really learned a lot today, and I hope you also learned, as well as our listeners. Thank you for sharing your insight and your experiences. Wish you all good luck on your journey in becoming a registered nurse in the Philippines.
Amen to that. Thank you, everyone. Once again, I am your host,
Hi guys, thank
Mercado,
you.
And I am Janelle Libot,
and this is JNM Talks, your one and only
one and only
podcast.
podcast.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, thank you.